To find the x and y intercept of a quadratic function, we'll first look at the y-intercept just because that's easier. The y-intercept is always c. It's always the constant. And we find the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So when x is equal to 0, all we'll have left is negative 6. So the y-intercept is negative 6. To write that as an ordered pair, that would be 0, negative 6. To find the x-intercept, we're going to let y equal 0, or in other words, we're going to let f of x equal 0. And we will need to solve for x. Now, to be able to solve a quadratic function for x, there's two methods that we're going to go over today. The first is solving by factoring, and the second is solving by the quadratic formula. It is going to be easier to solve by factoring when it's possible. Okay, so we'll look at that first. And when we're factoring, we're just trying to write x squared plus x minus 6 as two parentheses. The first term in each parentheses is x, because x times x should give you x squared. And then the second terms in each parentheses, you're looking for two numbers that multiply to equal negative 6 and add to equal a positive 1. And those two numbers should be a positive 3 and a negative 2. After this step, you're going to set each parentheses equal to 0 and solve each one separately. So we subtract 3 from both sides, and we'll get x equal negative 3. And on the second equation, add 2 to both sides to give us x equal 2. So our x-intercepts are negative 3, 0, and 2, 0. Now there is another way you can solve this, and that's using the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now in our problem, in our function, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to negative 6. So we're just substituting these values into the formula. B is equal to 1, so that's negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 6 divided by 2 times 1. So we're going to simplify inside our square root. 1 squared is 1. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 6 is a positive 24. And then 1 plus 24 is 25. Now 25 is a perfect square. So we can write that as negative 1 plus or minus 5 divided by 2. And now the plus or minus means that you have two different equations. You have negative 1 plus 5 divided by 2, and you have negative 1 minus 5 divided by 2. And so just solving each one of that, negative 1 plus 5 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. In the second equation, negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And notice that we have the same x values as we did when we solved by factoring.